In this video, I'll answer the question, what is the ideal or optimal body fat percentage for men to look, feel, and perform the best? My goal is to provide you with a guide so that you can figure out and discover your sustainable, ideal amount of body fat. I will also share images of me going through different stages of leanness and explain how I felt and what did I do to get there. When it comes to body fat, the most commonly asked questions are, what percentage do I need to be at to start seeing a six-pack abs? What's the best percentage for building muscle? The thing is, none of that matters if you cannot maintain that body fat long term, unless you're interested in getting lean temporarily. Well, the idea that I'm promoting is that you should stay very close to your optimal body fat percentage all the time. This means no more traditional bulking and cutting cycles. My mission with this channel is to help guys build great looking physiques and stay in shape not just for summer, but all throughout the year. So if you want to learn all the secrets and tips on how to stay lean year round, build muscle, then please consider subscribing to my channel to become a part of this community. Okay, so the way I structure this video is by splitting into 3 sections, each covering a different level of leanness. I will explain what it takes to get to that percentage of body fat and what are the pros and cons of each when it comes to appearance, health, energy, and performance. So let's dive right in. In the first category, we have a body fat percentage that's about 20%. Just to give you a visual guide on how it looks like, have a look at this chart. I'm referring to images from 25% to 40% body fat. And this is an image of me just over 20% body fat. The first problem with this body fat percentage is decreased insulin sensitivity and negatively affected concentrations of testosterone and growth hormone. Also, the further you go from the 20% body fat, the more estrogenic your body becomes. And in this scenario where the hormones are messed up, it creates a poor environment for your muscle cells to grow and leads to poor performance in the gym as well. Regarding general health, having above 20% body fat will increase your risk of diabetes and heart disease, and you're likely to have low energy levels as well. Talking about attractiveness, you might not be happy with the way you look at this body fat percentage, but not just that. If you look at the qualitative research and survey-based studies, women in most cases don't find these body fat levels attractive as well. So are there any benefits of having this body fat percentage? Well, of course there are. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it myself. One of the benefits is that it doesn't require much thought or effort living a lifestyle like this. You eat whatever you like, whenever you like, and as much as you want. When eating, you are mostly guided by your taste preference and emotions. This makes it super easy to eat out regularly with your friends without planning or thinking about food choices. Use food to celebrate good times, to make bad times pass easier, or to simply fight boredom. No need to plan exercise routines or prepare majority of your meals, which helps to save a lot of time, of course. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we have the other extreme, which is probably worse for your health than being overweight, and that is body fat that's too low. Coming back to the body chart image, I'm talking about anywhere between 3% body fat to about 9% body fat. Now, I personally tried exploring what it takes to stay in this extremely low body fat percentage so that you don't have to, and I can tell you right now, it is not worth it. So these are the images of me being at about 7 to 8% body fat. As you can see, it's quite an extreme look with clear muscle separations and veins all over the place. But perhaps the most extreme thing about all this is that I tried to maintain this body fat for about 5 months. Based on personal experience and what others say, first of all, your social life without a doubt will be affected by it. You will have to carefully plan for every social occasion that involves food. This would include doing extra exercise or adjusting your eating for the next few days to compensate for extra calories or ordering only very specific foods when you eat out. Most of your meals need to be high in volume, high in fiber, and high in protein. And still, even with this in place, I remember constantly being hungry and food focused no matter what. You finish your meals, you're never truly satiated, and you always want more. And of course, it's annoying. Your activity levels should be high to stay this lean and maintain muscle mass, meaning frequent cardio sessions and resistance training. And perhaps the toughest part is trying to live your everyday life when you have low energy and don't want to move because of slowed down metabolism. This hyper focus on diet and exercise may contribute to an eating disorder or crowd out all other interests and pursuits that you have. Finally, it's bad for testosterone, it's bad for your libido, mental health, and general health, making it nearly impossible to build any new muscle. And similar to having too much fat, too little body fat is generally perceived as unattractive by women. It's just really an intense look. Now, you might be thinking, why would I or anyone else still chooses to do this when it seems to be an entirely negative experience? Well, for some people, including me, it is about achieving that unique shredded look that is commonly mentioned in fitness industry and feeling a strong sense of pride that you get from doing something as challenging as this. The problem is that it is not optimal or healthy to live this way long term. And there are other ways to feel proud of yourself without reducing your lifespan. Which brings us to the final category, that is optimal body fat percentage. Optimal body fat percentage should meet your health, appearance, and performance goals simultaneously. For this reason, optimal ideal body fat percentage needs to be within a healthy range suggested by research, and that is anywhere between 10% and 20% body fat. This range is actually very big. For example, someone who has 20% body fat and no visible abs can be just as healthy as someone with defined abs at 10% body fat. So when we consider ideal or optimal body fat percentage, we have a quite wide range of body fat percentage that we can work with. For most guys interested in having an athletic look, decent muscle definition starts to show up right in the middle of this range, which is about 50% body fat. And for a leaner look, it would be around 12% body fat. Of course, the closer you want to get to that lower end of healthy body fat, the more effort you will have to put in your nutrition and exercise routines. There's also genetics. Some men will have to put in a decent amount of effort to stay at 15%, while others can have a six-pack all year round with minimal effort. 12 to 15% body fat is also an ideal place to build muscle because this is where our testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin sensitivity reach their peak levels. Okay, so to summarize this video, I would like to briefly go through all of the categories once again and provide you with the optimal percent body fat range. So the first category, that is above 20% body fat, is relatively easy to achieve for the majority of, requires no extra thought towards nutrition and exercise, and is not optimal for muscle growth and arguably for aesthetics. Second category, that is below 10% body fat, is very hard to achieve to a point where it crowds out all other pursuits and interests that you have. Because it's challenging, of course it gives you a great sense of pride when achieved, but it is not optimal for muscle growth and arguably for aesthetics. Finally, the optimal body fat percentage is within 10 to 15% body fat and is moderately difficult to achieve. You will have to be somewhat conscious of your food choices and stay regularly active, but the benefits way outweigh the trade-offs. It's a perfect place to be in when trying to build muscle as well and look aesthetic and attractive. Now, it's still a range, and I'm not giving you an exact number because your individual ideal body fat percentage will depend on your genetics and other factors. This is what I'm planning to cover in my next video. So if you want to know how to find your ideal body fat percentage, then please subscribe to my channel to get notified. If you have any questions about the optimal or ideal body fat percentage, then please leave the comments below and I would like to have a chat with you about it. So see you in the next video and have a nice day.